Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to Fast Track Reviews, where this time we're going to be looking at K-pop Demon Hunters. So, immediately off the bat, I just want to say this may be one of the best animated movies of the last few years, and I don't say that lightly. I think that the last few years have had some really good animated films. But this was actually just excellent in almost every way. I was not expecting too much. I've heard a lot of good things. A lot of people have been recommending this one to me. And in general, I was, a bit mixed on it. K-pop is not something that I'm overly into. I've listened to the odd bit of BTS, and I know a few other odd, K-pop bands and K-pop groups and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not really something I'm overly into. The idea of K-pop Demon Hunters, as a concept, is pretty fun to me. I think it's, pretty cool in a lot of ways, just the concept. And, Demon Hunters in general is something that I like the aesthetic of, I like the idea of, and I was interested enough. Having watched it, this was honestly so much better than, I think it even should be. So, first off, I just want to point out that this is a, movie from the same studio that brought us Into the Spider-Verse, which I think shows in a lot of the way the animation works. It doesn't have the same low frame rate sort of look to it, or any of the, small visual cues that you see in Spider-Verse, but yeah, it is very clear that it is Sony Animation on their A-game when it comes to how good this film looks. There are some very odd, I'd almost say anime-style facial expressions at points, but overall it stays well within its own logic of how it looks, and just in general there are some beautiful shots in this. There are some beautiful moments just visually, and yeah, that is helped in large part as well by the fantastic soundtrack. Not only all the various K-pop songs that are throughout this film, which honestly I understand why they've been all over TikTok and all over YouTube Shorts and everything like that, because they are excellent. There are some absolutely great, catchy, memorable songs that are in this film, and I think beyond that, just the general background soundtrack, the way it sounds, it really does work for the whole vibe. And yeah, that's really what this film is. It's a vibe. It's just fun. It's just, there's so much good stuff going on. So just for a brief overview of the story, because I'm not going to get into it as much as I do into with things like Marvel or Doctor Who or anything like that, but this is about the K-pop Demon Hunters. They are hunters who use their voice to kill demons. They are always free, and it has been a thing that has protected humanity for, generations. Hundreds of years we have had these free protectors, different generation by generation, in order to save the world and protect the world from demons. And we are introduced to the current trio, Huntrix, and they are a K-pop group, of course. We have Rumi, who's the lead singer and main character of this film. We have Mira, choreographer, and Zoe, who's the rapper. And that's a pretty standard, from my understanding, setup for a K-pop band, for a K-pop group. I'm going to interchange group and band. I know it is group generally, but I have a way of speaking I'm sure most of you that have been around for a while are familiar with, where I just don't say things that make sense. But, yeah, the three main characters, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, are very fun in general. I quite enjoyed their characters, and the secret, and obviously spoilers ahead, that Rumi is holding is that she is in fact a half demon, and this is the main, issue that she's having to overcome throughout the film. Rumi is the main character in a lot of ways. Mira and Zoe kind of, fall to the wayside at parts, and yeah, Rumi is a half demon. Her mother was a demon hunter, and her father was a demon, which is never really explored in a greater detail than that, but is a very interesting concept. And yeah, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe are trying to essentially fix the barrier between the demon world and the overworld, the human world, and it's not going perfectly because Rumi has lost her voice due to the further corruption of being a demon. It's something that she's been able to hide for so long, but it's now, as they are about to be able to fix the barrier for good, they are now in a situation where Rumi cannot sing. She cannot hit the correct notes, which does jeopardize the entire, scenario, the entire situation. The performances that they have to do to actually fix the barrier are starting to fall apart a little bit, and the entire film just basically follows them and a demon um, a demon K-pop boy band, the Saja Boys, as they face off against each other to become the top musical act, the top K-pop group, I suppose. And yeah, it's a very interesting story overall. Of course, it ends pretty happily. I'm not going to spoil much details. I honestly, off the bat, want to recommend this if you are at all interested in K-pop Demon Hunters just as a concept. If you are, someone who has heard the songs on TikTok or wherever else and actually want to know where they're from, I definitely recommend it. There are some excellent moments. There's a moment very early on that in my notes I just wrote was mukbang moment. So there's a lot of fun little references to Asian culture in general, but very specifically Korean culture. Things like mukbangs I know have become like popular around the world. But yeah, stuff like that is just very Korean centered, and there's a lot of Korean like culture on show here. It's a very like culturally fun movie. There's a lot of fun aspects of Korean culture, and I do really enjoy that. It's not necessarily a culture that I know too much about, which may come across in what I'm saying right now, but yeah, in general, it's a very fun culture to be following, to be looking into, and as someone who typically, when I'm consuming Asian media, it tends to be more Japanese, with actual traditional anime and stuff like that. This is a very nice change of pace. I've watched plenty of Korean films. If you were to look at my letterbox, you'd know I actually studied multiple Korean films when I was doing my film studies degree. And yeah, in general, I'm a fan of Korean and Japanese and even Chinese to some extent, Hong Kong cinema as well. The Asian cinema is excellent. And, while K-pop Demon Hunters may lean a little bit more American than, say, well, I mean, a typical anime or a typical K-drama or something like that, we do have a situation where this is a very Korean film just made by a typically Americanized studio. And I know Sony aren't, actually an American studio, by definition. But yeah, it really is a great representation of that culture, in my opinion. And it seems that people tend to agree, especially those that are K-pop fans, both in Korea and, abroad, elsewhere. I think a lot of people have really come to just enjoy this. Even people that you wouldn't expect to be into K-pop have been really enjoying this movie, and in general, I think it is well deserving of all the praise it's getting, all the positivity is getting. Every single fight scene in this film is a music video, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. Like, they are so well animated. Like, every shot is perfect, and I know that's not saying much. It's animation. At the end of the day, they can make everything absolutely perfect. But this is on par, and it makes sense, as I say, that it's from the same studio, with things like Spider-Verse, for how just fluid and how beautiful every shot is. You can pause this movie at any point, and, barring some of the funnier facial expressions, which are done on purpose, obviously, you will get, a computer background. You will get a new wallpaper with every single, frame of this film. It is truly a gorgeous film, and yeah, it looks so good. The music video aesthetic for a lot of it just works so well with context. And yeah, there's not much I can really say about this because it is just so unapologetically good. It is incredible this has come from Sony and Netflix of all things. Like, it seems so unusual that we see something that isn't a series from Netflix that does this well and is this high quality. And, as much as I like Spider-Verse and stuff, Sony Animation isn't exactly known to be the highest bar when it comes to animation studios. No offense to the animators at Sony Animation, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff from them that is kind of middling. I'm not going to say mediocre, it's middling, very much so. But yeah, no, this is an absolute success in every foreseeable way. It is so good. And there's some very high points, there's some very, in terms of the tone, there are some very, happy-go-lucky, positive moments, and there's some really dark moments as well. Just the one that really stuck with me is after everything's kind of fallen apart for Rumi, after she's been exposed as a demon to the other two, and just in general, things have just fallen apart around her. She goes back to her mentor and her mother figure, because her mother is dead by the start of the film, and she essentially begs for seppuku, for ritual suicide, essentially. Like, she wants to be destroyed. She wants to die. She, like, essentially begs for it. Not in as an explicit way, but it's such a heartfelt moment. It really strikes a chord, at least for me. It's such a dark moment in what is otherwise a very bubblegum pop sort of movie. It's just, and it's incredible how well it does all these different angles. Even the demon boy band, like the lead singer of that one, he has such a dark backstory of the fact that he made a deal with the devil, essentially, a deal with the Demon King, in order to live in riches and that sort of thing. But he abandoned his family, his mother and his younger sister. He just abandoned them, and he's having to fight with that. Of, does that make him a bad person? Is he truly a bad guy? Like, has he made one mistake and it's ruined him forever? Like, it is true damnation. Like, that's why he is a demon. And yeah, there are so many amazing moments like that for characters throughout. And yeah, this film is carried obviously by its soundtrack. That has to be, I will repeat that forever. But the character beats are so strong, and every character is performed excellently. The cast do a fantastic job. Based on what I've seen, I don't recognize many of the cast members, which is fine. I think that's actually a good thing in a lot of ways. It means I'm not getting distracted by, something like Mario being voiced by Chris Pratt or something. But, like, it really does show that you don't have to have A-listers necessarily to, a global perspective. I'm sure these people throughout the film are actually, like, well known in certain areas, and maybe they are Korean, celebrities or whatever else. I don't know, unfortunately. I haven't really looked into it because it's not really something that I'm overly interested in. But yeah, it really is just an excellent cast, excellent performances all around. The songs are performed beautifully. They're all well written, and just generally, this is an excellent, excellent film. And that is all I can really say for it. So, of course, I have my rating, and it is 5-star, a 10 out of 10. I consider this to be as close to a perfect movie as you can get. And if nothing else, it is the best animated movie I have seen in at least 4 or 5 years. Like, of this decade, of the 2020s, I think this will become the definitive animated film. And the fact it came from Sony is just mind-boggling. So, in conclusion, just go see it. It's on Netflix. If you have a Netflix subscription, just watch it. If you don't have a Netflix subscription, find someone that you know that does, that you can watch it with. This is such a good film, and I am so happy to have actually watched it when I did, because I was very close to not watching it for a while. I only subscribed to Netflix for short periods of time, and I watched this as the last thing I watched before my Netflix ran out. And I'm very happy with that decision. This is an excellent film, and yeah, all I can say is go watch it. It's really worth watching. It's only about an hour and 50 minutes. It's relatively short for an animated film, but every moment is excellent, and I can't recommend it enough. But with that being said, that is going to be it for this review. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're new and ring the bell so you never miss upload. Otherwise, comment below your thoughts and feelings on K-pop Demon Hunters, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation. I can hardly think. It's like the worst song you've